Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we are learning three super important concepts in Python: for loops, nested loops and dictionaries. If you are a beginner, don't worry, I will explain everything with a bit of context so that your core concepts are clear. So first comes the for loop. What is a for loop? A for loop is used when we want to repeat something again and again, like printing a message 5 times or going through items in a list. For example, if I want to print hello 5 times, I could either do this print hello and then I would like just copy it again and again and paste it. No, we don't want that. That is just going to waste our time. So we could use the for loop. We will type the keyword for, and then we need to have some sort of a counter so that we can use that to iterate over our values. So for x in range, now we are calling a function here called range. Now if you want to print the message 5 times, you would put the starting index as 1 and then the ending index will always be 6. Why? Because the last value is always exclusive and it doesn't get taken into account and it doesn't get printed. Okay, so here we will just print our message hello, and if we run this code, you will see that the loop only ends when we have successfully printed our message or successfully executed this block of code 5 times, or like according to the condition that was given here. Okay, so what if you want to iterate over a list? Okay, so let's just create a list here and call it fruits. We can just pass some of the common fruits here: apple, banana and mango. Now here you want to create a counter. Now here we would like to create a counter for our fruits. For fruit in fruits, print the counter which is fruit. Now if we run this, in our console, you will see that it goes through all of the items in the list and prints every fruit. Easy, right? The for loop is like saying for each item do this. What is range doing here? Like you could use range if you want to manually enter the number of times that you want to iterate over, but we have used a list here. Okay, so what does range does? Range means it will loop from 0 or 1 or like your starting index to the ending index. In the previous example, we started from 1 and went till 5 because remember the last number is always exclusive, so that the 6 wasn't printed. Okay, so what are nested loops? Now let's talk about the nested loops. It basically means that one loop inside another loop. It sounds complex, but it's actually quite simple. Let's say that you want to print a pattern. You want the user to enter some number of rows, some number of columns, and then you want the user to enter a symbol, and then that the pattern should be displayed on the screen. Okay, so that's quite easy to do. First, we will create a variable for rows, column and symbols, and here we will input our rows. We will do the same thing for our columns. Enter your columns. Okay, just let me fix that. And then again we will do the same thing for our symbol. Symbol input, enter your symbol. So after that we are going to create two loops, and obviously we will need two counters. right? So let's just say for x in range rows. So this by the name suggests that this will be controlling the number of rows, and the number of rows we will enter that there. We are taking the input from user in an integer format, so that's why we're using range. If just say like you had a list here, then you wouldn't need range. You would just type the name of the variable and it will go along. But here now we want to print the number of columns, so we would type for y in range columns, and then here what we want to do, after this we want the user to enter a symbol, and then the symbol will be used as a base to create the pattern from the numbers of rows and columns that the user will input, right? So now we want to print our symbol. Now we want to print our symbol. Okay. So, and another thing, if we do this, the symbols will just get printed in like a list, in like column format. They will just go like this. We don't want that. We want to print the number of rows and columns in a format, right? So we would use here end is equals to this, and then we want to print each of the row in a separate line. So what we will do here, we will just pass an empty string, right? So basically what's going on here, we are telling the Python, the IDE, that we are entering rows, columns and the symbol, and now for these rows you want to execute this code the X amount of times. So if we run it, we are going to enter, let's say, 5 rows, 5 columns, and then we want to enter a string. And as you can see, it correctly printed our pattern. If say you can enter anything between, I say we can add a space, so that like we have some space here, right? We have some distance between our asterisks. You can do the same thing, 5 and 5. You can see we have the distance between these. Okay. So what is going on here? The loop executes X amount of times, like whatever value we enter here, this loop will execute that amount of times. Same goes for the columns. For each column we are executing this code of block, and when this iteration is over, we go up here and check if the condition is true or false. If the condition is false, then we come back here and this will start all over again, right? So it's pretty simple, it's nothing that complex. Okay, so moving on to our last topic, which is dictionary. Basically a dictionary is used to store data in a key value format, just like a real dictionary would. You enter a keyword and you get any definition or data that is associated with it. So we can do the same here. Let's say I want to make a dictionary with a list of countries and their capitals. I can do so by creating a variable named capitals and then making it a dictionary. So first thing, the dictionary is mutable. Okay, so you can change or update the values after you have created them. Okay, and as of now dictionaries are always ordered. Okay, so there will be a unique format, the elements should be unique and there are no duplicates here, right? So you can make a dictionary by using the curly braces, and here I have a list of countries and their capitals, right? So the format is easy. You on the left hand side you have the key, and on the right hand side you have the value. These will be separated with a colon, and if you want to add multiple values you use the comma. Okay, right? So if I were to print the list of my capitals now, I would get these. Always remember that these are treated as objects in a list, right? So let's say we want to add another country here, like we want to add another value into our dictionary. You can do so by calling the dictionary capitals dot update, right? And now here we can write whatever value we want to add. Let's say we want to add another value, another country, Pakistan. You can do so by typing the key and the value that you want to associate with it. Yes, number one. Okay, right. Now if I print, you can see that Pakistan is added here. Right? Okay, now say that you have some value here. I will just copy paste this here. Right? You want to remove the latest entry from your dictionary, right? You want to remove the latest dictionary. You can do so by calling the list capitals dot pop item, and just like that, this will remove your latest entry, right? Like the last entry that you made into your dictionary will be removed. Okay, so let's just say you want to remove a specific entry, right? So you would say capitals dot pop, and now here you want to pass on some argument. The argument in this case is the name of the country, right? So let's just say I want to remove USA. We can see that USA was removed from here, right? And there is another function called clear. This is like pretty self-explanatory because this will clear your dictionary. Like it will remove all the elements. You will get an empty dictionary, right? Okay, so you have discovered. Now, what if you want to print only let's say you want to print only the keys here, right? So you can do so by using a loop, right? You can store the keys in a special variable, right? Capital dot keys, right? Now if you want to print these, you can do so by print keys. Let's just run this. Okay, sorry. No. You can see that we have all of our keys here. Like these are only the keys, not the values, right? Okay. Now say that you want to execute, like you want to print something when some certain condition is true. You can do so by using an if condition, right? Okay, just a second. If